It's Energumen opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2 mile novices. Energumen by
Boyle Sports has it all. Money back meetings every day. UK and Irish racing live streaming. Extra places and money back all losers offers. And a bet 10 get 40 welcome offer. Boyle Sports, this is betting.
Hello and welcome back to the Champ.ie podcast and the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. I'm joined by Mr. Ronan Groome on the eve. It is actually Christmas Eve, Ronan Groome, and we're throwing in episode 8. It's a bonus episode for Champ.ie listeners. A bonus episode where I suppose you owe a few selections. You've been in New York. You're going to give us your best rendition of the streets of New York on Christmas Eve. Ronan Groome, the floor is yours.
I was 18 years old when I went down to Dublin.
With a fistful of money and a cargo of dreams. Copyright.
We'd be here all
might
day.
Be taken down. Yeah. How's life?
Good. Good little break now. Nice little break. Big first time in the big. After. Yeah. Not the worst for weather. I had a few drinks last night as well. So it's Christmas time. Has to be done.
Absolutely.
I have to say, as yourself, the voice is a bit croaky there.
Yeah, it was a couple of large glasses of porter last night and a couple of fine glasses of Malbec, and of course our Christmas special episode, which Ronan Groome didn't turn up for, is also going to be released at about 1 p.m. on Christmas Eve, and this will be up shortly afterwards. So if you haven't checked out the Christmas special, it's myself, Thomas Coyle, Mike Vince, and we also were joined by Nicky Henderson and Robbie Power. So if you haven't, go and check that out. Ronan Groome, you owe 2 selections because you have been away. You're going to put in an extra selection today into your challenge template, and you're also going to put in an extra selection next Tuesday. We're not going to record on Stevens' Day. We're going to record next week's episode on the Tuesday. So it'll be live on Tuesday afternoon. So a very different show this week. Ronan, we're going to get straight in, just call out the selections, and at the end of the show, we're going to focus in on Stephen's Day, that's Boxing Day, for any of you British listeners, and we're going to put together Heinz with 3 selections each for St. Stephen's Day. So, Ronan, the floor is yours, your first Ante-Post selection of the show.
Yeah, okay, so I've got a big priced one and a shorter priced one. I'll go for the big priced one first. In my absence, I was just catching up on all the racing when I came back, and catching up on a lot. Like, there wasn't much now, actually, with the frost. I actually picked a nice time to go away. But there were a couple of really impressive performances. I did like Hidden Valley Lake. I did like his performance. But I did like the other Henry Bromhead maiden hurdler that won, which was Arctic Brazil. Now, I was down in Henry's for a little stable kind of press thing right at the start of the season, and the word about this fella was pretty warm now. There was a bit of chat going around, a bit of banter, and this horse kind of came up a few times, this Arctic Brazil. He's bought for 300,000. Didn't win his point to point. He was actually finished second at Tatterstalls, but subsequently been bought for big money. And I love the way he did it at Cork, I have to say. Keen early through the race, jumped okay, eventually kind of hit the front. Probably, I don't know if Rachel wanted to be that prominent so early, but went on to really pick up nicely and beat Mercury, which seems well regarded from Mullins' camp. Went off odds on, so there was a bit of confidence behind that one. So it's no mean feat for Arctic Brazil to go and beat this horse first time out. It says to me that he's at least up to graded level. And I was buoyed, I guess, by Henry's comments post-race that he thinks he's a horse with a lot of speed and he's going to go for the Moscow Flyer next time, which is usually a pretty good trial for the Supreme. Now, obviously, the elephant in the room here is Facile Vega, who's obviously 11 to 10, and it's not difficult to see him being an odds-on shot on the day. But look, this is Ante-Post punting, and I wanted to get one in at a big price, and I think this is a very talented horse, and we're still 2-3 months out of the out from the Supreme. Like for me, 11 to 10 about Facile Vega seems short at this stage. We'll see what he does at Christmas, but I think this is a nice horse, and at 25 to 1, I could see him being a lot shorter on the day. As I said, he goes to punch down for that Moscow Flyer novice hurdle, which is usually a good trial for the Supreme. Like Henry ran Captain Guinness in it one year, got beat by Andy Dufresne, and was going well in the Supreme when he came down. And Willie's used it with good horses like Duvan Last year, Dysart Dynamo obviously was a leading contender for the Supreme after he won the race. So if Arctic Brazil can go and win that or go well there, I think he could be a live player on the day. So I'm going to take him. He's 25-1. I think is available for him for the Supreme. So that's
he was very well backed on day. He was working on the day, and they didn't leave it behind anyway. That's for sure. Number 2, go for it.
Yeah, Ante-Post Hard. Again, another thing that happened when I was away, and I didn't actually notice it for a while. I had presumed that after the Haydock run, nothing had come up. That was what was reported, that there was just no explanation for the run. And when that happened, you are a bit worried. But I was just managed to catch it yesterday. A colleague of mine told me I was even writing about the race and had told me that I missed something, that Henry had come out and said that there was some sort of reaction with the horse. The blood test came back. The bloods are all mad. Off the Richter scale, he said. And he basically concluded that something happened to the horse on transition over to Haydock. Look, I'm not, for me, some people will go, oh, happy days. That's what happened. That's completely explains everything. You know, that's exactly what he ran badly. I'm not fully subscribed to that, but at least there is there's a excuse of some sort, and at least you're more willing now to give the horse a chance. So the way I looked at it is the horse runs in the Savills, all being well, will be declared for the Savills at Leopardstown. You know, if he's back to his best, he goes close to winning that. Probably, you know, he's 6-4, I guess, in the market now. Most bookmakers in and around that mark, you can see him going off that price on the day. And if he wins, he goes straight to Cheltenham, and I guess like it's self-explanatory from there. You only have to look what he did in the race last season. Bar the Haydock run, all his runs over 3 miles have been in the top 2, all at Grade 1 level. You know, he's obviously was an exceptional winner of the race last year, and if running to that sort of form, I mean, he can live with it's Gallop and the Champ and Le Homme Press. They have to come up to his level because he thought he was excellent in the race last season. He's a lightly race chaser. So I know it's hard to come back and win a Gold Cup, but he's done it twice already now. And he's run well enough to win a Gold Cup the year before and won it last year. And he's lightly raced, and he's lightly raced again this season. And he had lots of time to be prepped for the race. So basically, I think he can shorten after he runs this week, and that's the reason I want to get him in. I think he's around what price is he with BoyleSports?
7-1, Ronan. 7-1. We're giving
7-1. Okay, well I think there's a bit of juice in that, and I just think he can shorten if he goes and wins at Leopardstown. He's a 6-4 favourite to do so. I think there's even if he doesn't, if he runs well, I still think he's a player for the Gold Cup.
Speaking to Robbie Power, he's very, very confident that the horse, you know, there was a genuine excuse and the horse will run back to. So you mentioned on previous episodes, Ron, you're the forgiven type. 7-1 Ante-Post Hard.
Download the BoyleSports app and receive generous offers for new and existing customers. BoyleSports, this is betting.
Right, Mr. Groome, it's time for my episode 8 selection. You've put in both Arctic Brazil for the Supreme Novices Hurdle and, of course, the Ante-Post Hard. So you've gone full on Henry the Bromhead coming up to Christmas, Mr. Groome. And, well, look, I feel as though I've been very conservative, I would say, today with my selections. Some real solid ones, I believe, in my book to date. I'm going to take a bit of a flyer. Anyone who watched our Jumpers to Follow very first video of the season, what was the first horse I mentioned, Mr. Groome?
So that thing beginning with P, Parmaham.
Parmenian runs in the very first race. I'm taking a bit of a flyer here. I'm going Supreme Novices Hurdle. He's 33-1, Mr. Groome, for the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Obviously, Facile Vega, he's even money, same stable, top of the market. Willie won this maiden hurdle, the first race at Leopardstown on St. Stephen's Day. Parmenian runs in the colours of the Donnellys. We haven't seen it on an Irish race course yet, but won over 1.2 miles very, very snugly back in June 2021. He's been given plenty of time. I loved what I saw on this run. I thought he showed a good bit of class on this occasion. 1 mile and 2 furlongs, good to soft ground at Crayon. He was bought the following month for 230,000, and typically, you know, these horses coming to Mullins is from France. He was given plenty of time. Wasn't mentioned in too many stable tours this season, but I reckon we're going to see a very good horse on Stevens' Day, Ronan Groome, and 33-1. So a bit of a flyer this week, Mr. Groome, but It could look quite tasty come 12:10 on St. Stephen's Day. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. It didn't Willie run Stateman in that race last season? Was that the same race? Yeah, he fell.
Yeah, and he won it with Classical Dream before going on. So it's a route that Willie likes for these, I suppose, 4-year-olds turning 5 to go down the Supreme route.
So like Stateman has obviously turned out to be, Grade 1 horse. If he'd won that race, which he probably would have if he stood up, he would have went down the Supreme route, I'd say, because he just got delayed. He had to go and win his maiden hurdle at Limerick then, and ended up going for the county off a nice mark. So, yeah, I can see where you're coming from for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. 33s is a nice swing.
Yeah, no. Well, look, he's the type of horse I think that obviously, look, you're taking a chance here. He's won over 1.2 miles in France, which to me suggests he's going to be running over the minimum trip. It's a tried and tested route for Willie. And I'm willing to take on Facile Vega, as I said at the start of the show, at that sort of price at the moment. I need to see. I'm obviously looking forward to see him over 2 miles. I wouldn't be surprised to see Facile Vega going up in trip and running a Ballymore. He's bred for 2.5 miles. I think Parmenion is the supreme horse, and Facile Vega could reroute a bit of Mullins bingo here.
Yeah. You're going to irk a few people there.
Well, look, that's just my view on it. So
I can see it. I like the angle of the 2 mile kind of speed over the Ballymore trip. So yeah, Quevega did all her winning over 2.5 at Cheltenham.
Paddy was interviewed during the week. It was the first time I heard Parmenion ever mentioned this season, and he obviously put it up as called out 3 horses to watch in maiden hurdles. Parmenion was one, and the vibes are quite good about this horse. So yeah, banker material on Stevens' Day, and 33-1 might look quite big, I believe. Come the next time we record episode 9 of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. Ronan Groome, right, we're going to put up a hinds for Stevens' Day. We're going to put up 3 selections each. Fire your 3 into the mix very, very quickly.
Yeah, I've taken one big swing and one kind of decent prices, I think. The first I'll go with is I'm going with Gelino Bello, who's going to take on the Cotto Star at Kempton at 120. This is more kind of angle I've never taken to McFabulous. Now, I know you were a fan at one stage. I will take this horse on till he runs his final race. I'm not sure he properly stays 3 miles, especially in soft ground, which it is at the moment, Kempton. I think there's a bit of rain around over the next couple of days, but it's soft at the moment. Harry Cobden has chosen to ride McFabulous, which is interesting in itself, but that I think the market has probably reacted a bit too much to that. This Gelino Bello, I thought he was nice, did it nice first twice, and he's obviously a Grade 1 winner. Now, I'm not claiming that to be a proper Grade 1. There were Grade 1 he won at Aintree last season and wasn't up to much. It was probably a Grade 2, to be honest with you, in standard, if even. But he did it well. He was a good horse over hurdles last season. Nicholas reckons he's a better chaser. He's done nothing wrong so far. And it's just, as I said, it's an angle in that I want to take McFabulous on, and he was the horse. I don't really like Time Hill. Don't really like the horses that have been jumping hurdles for a long time, then plying their trade over fences. So Gelino Bello was my way into the race. I think 7-2 is a fair enough price for him. I'm taking a big swing at the King George. I think this is ripe for a bit of an upset, the way the race pans out. I think there's a lot of pace on here. With a High Seigneur, Frodon, Laham Presse does like to go forward as well. Hitman can make the running, but probably wouldn't over 3 miles. But there's enough pace on up front that I think this could turn into a bit of a burn-up. Now, Brave Man's Game could be the horse that benefits from that, and I wouldn't put anyone off him. Nichols is the master when it comes to this race and has been talking about this for Brave Man's Game for like over 2 years. But at a much bigger price on soft ground, I'm willing to take a chance on Royal Pagaille here. First time out for Venetia. Soft ground, course and distance winner. I think he was sit in off the pace. I think Tom Scudamore's won on him before as well. Sit in off the pace and just might be able to pick the pieces up quite long. It's a bit of a each way play. I guess there's 9 runners. Top 3, you get decent terms on the day, with it being the biggest race on the busiest day of the season. And look, I think he had a bit of a hold up, Venetia reported, but ready to roll now. As I said, he's a course and distance winner. He's a pretty impressive winner over this course. And obviously does a lot of his winning at Haydock as well, which is a similarly kind of flat track. Soft ground will suit him well. And as I said, I just think this might play into his strengths, and he'd be okay first time up. So that's my second shot, a big one at the thing. And then third one I'll throw in is Saint-Ouen, who admittedly has to turn around the form of Phil Doran, was kind of comfortably beaten by him at Navan at the end, but the two of them came miles clear of the rest. This run, Saint-Ouen were really in the 220, the Racing Post Novice Chase at Leopardstown. Look, as I said, I just thought the price was big enough to have another go, seeing as they're both having their second start now over fences, both open to a lot of improvement. Possibly Saint-Ouen open to more improvement fitness-wise, considering Phil Doran had a run. So I think that's an angle that you could take, that you could use as an advantage to Saint-Ouen, or something to suggest that he could close the gap at the very least. I just think that form is ahead of what Hollow Games did at Navan. The two of them came miles clear. Of good horses, some good horses in between, the likes of Slip of the Tongue and Sea Duckor, useful horses over hurdles, and these two came miles clear. It was a really, really good beginner's chase. And I would be willing to back that form and willing to take a chance that Saint-Ouen can at least get closer. So I'll even look to maybe back him in a match bet with Hollow Games or something on the day as well. But I think 9-2 is actually a grand. That's not a bad price at all, especially with a fitness angle as well.
16-1 Royal Pagaille, 9-2 with boylesports Saint-Ouen. And what's the first one again, just to recap?
Gelino Bello over at Kempton.
At Gelino Bello. Price?
Price with Boyles. Hold on, I'll pull it up now.
I was writing these down.
He's 11-4 with Boyles, so a little bit shorter there, but I said I want to take on Big Fella. So.
Okay, I've got a little bit more left field for my selections at Ronan Groome. We've plenty of race meetings, not just Leopardstown, Limerick and Kempton. And for my first selection, I've gone in the 11:45 at Newcastle. It's a tracker horse from this show, and it's a horse called GG for Nicky Richards. Won a bumper. Has only had 2 starts on the race course. Is a 6-year-old. Reading Nicky Richards' stable tours for the last 2 seasons, he's given this horse favourable mentions. I think he likes this horse a lot. Air, he was a bumper winner, came from miles off the pace on the 29th of November 2021. Was full value for the win. You have to watch that race back. That was his bumper. I know you love bumpers. But he's come out and he's ran into a smart one, I think, last time, over 2 miles on soft ground at Ayr over the same course. He ran into Fortescue Wood, who actually beat a high senior in his bumper. He was off the track for with some training performance now by Nick Alexander to get him back. They've come 10 lengths clear of the field. Stepping up in trip, I think Gigiville, I said it on this show, in the tracker section, that he was a model to win next time out. I love the fact that they're stepping him up in trip. He's going to be ridden by Danny McMenamin. So Gigiville at 11-4 with boylesports in the 11:45 at Newcastle. I think there's just lots to like about him. The second selection that I'm putting in comes at Leopardstown, the 1:45. This horse had 2 entries. Mentioned it on the Christmas special. He was entered over 2.5 miles as well. But they're running him over 2 miles. There's a horse called Changing the Rules for Jessica Harrington and Mark Walsh, JP McManus, 8-1 with boylesports. He's third in the betting. There's a field of 18 runners. He's had 5 runs in his career. He's yet to win. Second run in a handicap off a mark of 116. I thought that was a fair enough mark now. I think this horse could run a big race. I liked what he'd done on its handicap debut. Shaped nicely, finished 5th of 23 runners on a seasonal reappearance. Then he ran in a novice race at Fairyhouse over 2.5 miles. He's back down in trip. I think he's very, very interesting. Likely race, Changing the Rules, and that's in the novice handicap at 1:45 at Leopardstown.
What price is that, Basil?
8-1.
And 11-4 for Gigiville.
Gigiville, and then I'm going to Market Raisin, would you believe, Mr. Groome? I'm going to Market Raisin. Secret Tricks runs into 105 at Market Raisin. We have a field of 16 runners as well. So again, for each way purposes, this horse is 8-1. Ollie Murphy, trained Sean Bowen, will be taking the ride. Got up on the shadows of the post last time over 2 miles and 7 furlongs. But I'm intrigued that this horse is stepping back in trip. Was only given £3 for winning, having just his third run in a handicap last time at Fakenham, was coming off a 71-day break, shaped well in the race for large periods. And I thought he'd done well to win. £3, I think, was fairly lenient. And I like the way this horse is stepping back in trip to 2.5 miles. Could be potentially laid out for something like this. Last seen 41 days ago, as I mentioned, when winning at Fakenham. And that's a Secret Tricks, Ollie Murphy trained, having just a 7th start over hurdles. And it's 4th run in a handicap. So, yeah, off 93. I thought that was really stretching out the board here, aren't we? 8-1 with boylesports Secret Tricks in. That's 105 at market racing. So there you go.
Well, just
and Parmenion, look, I was trying to obviously keep the prices nice and juicy for a Heinz, but Parmenion would be the nap of the day. What would be your nap of the entire Christmas? I put you on the spot.
Like a horse. Now, nap is a strong word, but I like a horse running on 27th called Gold Speed, runs in the 2 mile handicap hurdle. Was 4th in it 2 seasons ago off a £4 higher mark, and has since come back. Lightly raced horse, might have had a few problems. Adrian Murray trains it, I think. I might be mistaken there. Yeah, he'll be a decent price, and I need it for my nap table. I'm in the nap table at work with all the other journalists, and if I can somehow wrangle out a 10-1 winner, I'll just about make the frame, which will be a nice cash prize as well. So I need to go for something big, so I put a bit extra work into it this week. And if Gold Speed can get it done at a double-figure price, then we'll be very happy Christmas for my good self.
Absolutely, and happy Christmas to all our listeners. Make sure and put your week 8 selection below. This has been a little bonus episode on Christmas Eve. Hope Santi delivers the goods. And hope Parmenion wins, of course, and 33-1. That could look very, very big, I do believe, should he go and do the business. Ronan Groome, I'd say it's back to bed for you. You've put up Arctic Brazil, just to recap, at 20.
Back to bed for me.
Enough with your book so far?
Not really, no, a bit of work to do. But I like the Absolute Hard one. That's one I'm pretty happy with. A couple of others, we'll see. Christmas is a big time, so a few of them will be running. So hopefully we can get back on track. Yeah,
looking forward to Dysart Dynamo running. Statler obviously running for me. Lucia's going to run in the Tolworth. Chemical Energy obviously goes straight to Cheltenham. The selection's running across the bottom. Lossy Mount, obviously we'll see her. So he hopes she goes and backs up her win. And Blue Lord, interesting. Over the minimum distance, he's 18-1. He was my selection last week running for the Ryanair. Your selections: Gentleman de Me for the Champion Chase, Beauport 16-1 for the Brown Advisory, Echoes in Rain 12-1 for the Mayor's Hurdle. That's not a bad selection. Three Stripe Life, I'd say this horse will step up in trip. 8-1 for the Turners. Ashrow Diamond, probably going to see her, aren't we?
She's declared. She runs in the Facile Vega race.
And obviously then you've gone A Plutard and Arctic Brazil. So that's been episode number 8. Ronan will be back next Tuesday. Happy Christmas to you and happy Christmas to all our listeners. And we'll see you next week.
Inside the final 150 yards, this is a special year, and it's a Hattons for the break. And it's Energumen opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2 mile novices. Energumen by a...
Download the boylesports app and receive generous offers for new and existing customers. boylesports, this is betting.